Welcome to MCN, and today we're here in Austria riding the new 2027 KTM 790 Duke. Now, the easiest way for me to go through this bike with you is to have a look at what's new, see what's worked, and we'll point out what hasn't changed along the way. First place I'm going to start is with aesthetics, because you can see that it does look significantly different to the old bike. So what exactly is new? Well, it's got a brand new headlight on it that gives it a completely different look at the front. It's far more aggressive. It's more like the bigger KTMs. At the back end, it now doesn't have a tail light. So instead, all your rear signals are through the indicators at the back. So brake, tail light indicators, they're all through those LEDs. We've got new fairings at the front and a new tank. So how does this thing change the 790 Duke? Well, it sits a lot wider at the front end, and when you're sitting on it, it gives more of a big bike feel. It's got more of a Super Duke feel to the way it looks, the way it appears when you're sitting on the bike. It gives it more presence, more stance once you're on it. It tapers quite significantly towards the rear, and that gives it quite a good standover as well. So I find when I'm riding this bike, basically when I swing a leg over, there's plenty of leg room, although the seat height is the same as the old bike, 820mm. It's a fairly tall seat, but because it's quite narrow across here for that standover, you can get your feet fairly flat and comfortable on the ground. I always say it in these videos, I'm a 32 inside leg, and it's comfortable for me with that. The seat is now flatter and wider. I've said it's the same height, but with that flatter and wider seat, they've actually changed the foot pegs too. I'm going to come to the ergos in a second. Let me just stick with what's changed in terms of visuals. You'll notice the whole back end looks pretty much different. That's because it's got a new one-piece subframe, and that does a few things. Being one piece, it's allowed KTM to shave 2 kilos off the weight of the bike, which is a bit unusual. Normally when a new bike comes out, there's a kilo added here, a kilo added there. This is actually lighter. Will you notice any difference? Probably not, but it does make the whole chassis just a little bit more compact. It's also got new air intakes on the side here, as you can see, and you get a bit of airbox noise through those as well. I mean, like anybody, I ride this ear plugged up. It's got a nice growly, raw sound to it. It's a typical KTM really, in the way you get that airbox growl. The exhaust too is new. Personally speaking, I didn't really like the exhaust on the old 790, and I think this is a big improvement. Through Power Parts, there are sportier ones available, but I really like this as a stock exhaust. I think it looks good and it sounds good. So onto ergonomics. I did just mention about those foot pegs. KTM have done a lot of work on the rider triangle, the golden triangle between the bars, the seat and the foot peg. As the seat is flatter, they've actually moved the foot pegs 7mm back and 2mm up to be exact. But what's that done on the previous bike? I found that you slid towards the tank a little bit more. The seat was kind of a little bit more raked. With this being flatter and the foot pegs further back and slightly up, it still gives you a very similar riding position, but you feel a bit more in control. I felt a bit more in control on this when riding it today. And with that narrower part of the tank here, squeezing with your knees, it's actually not just very comfortable, but it's a very confident position to be in. The bars are adjustable via the risers, so you can switch the risers around and get a different feel for the bars. I haven't changed it or tried it in either position, but found that this particular setup worked really well for me. It's one of those bikes you just jump on and everything just sort of falls into the right place. Let me mention tyres. Just before I mention where we've been, I'll mention the tyres as well. Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4s are now on this bike, and this really, it allows you to bring out a bit more of the bike's character. It improves the handling, they're a bit quicker to warm up, and they're really nice, confident tyres. Suspension-wise, we've still got the 43mm WP Apex suspension. The actual units are identical to last year's bike, but they're fully adjustable now, so it does give you a range of adjustability to be able to fine tune it. And the nice thing with these adjusters on here, which you can actually do with your hands, I quite like, there's There's only 5 steps of adjustment to play with, and this works quite well for newer riders and people that perhaps aren't so used to playing with their suspension settings. Because it's only got 5 fairly wide increments, you can't really get lost and go particularly wrong with it. You can always dial it back 1 or 2 without losing where you are and having to wind it all the way in and all the way back out again. Travel as well, travel at the rear, suspension has been increased by 20 mil over the previous model. But what does this all mean at the end of the day? Well, we've been lucky enough to go and ride this on the Großglockner Pass, and that's one of the best stretches of road in Europe. Very twisty, very good quality tarmac. I'll be honest, it was a little bit cold. We were down to about 8-7 degrees at the top, so perhaps it wasn't too easy to get the tyres up to temperature. But the way this bike feels, the way this bike handles, it's very precise, it's very confidence inspiring, it's very controllable, and that new riding position has been adjusted to be able to let you do that, to let you get more out of the bike more easily, if that makes sense. So when we have been riding those twisty roads, the position it's very confident as well as being comfortable. And the wide bars means you've got plenty of control over the steering as well. So you always feel very well planted on it, not just through the fact that the suspension works so well. The suspension is very plush, it's very forgiving, but at the same time, it's got a nice sporty edge to it. So it feels firm, it feels composed. There was never an issue with handling as far as this bike was concerned in the past, and that has translated straight across to the new version. It's accessible and easy to get on with as well. So for a less experienced rider, you're not going to have any trouble growing with this bike. But at the same time, if you're more experienced and you're perhaps looking to downsize, you know, if you've got a litre plus naked, you've got something like 150 horsepower, to downsize onto a sub 100 horsepower bike like this, 94, I believe, is the correct figure for the 790 Duke, you won't actually lose anything. You can still get just as much out of riding this as you can a much bigger bike, if not more so, because the power, the handling, everything about it is just that much more easy to get to. So when we've been on the twisty roads, you can tip into a bend, you can choose your line. The combination of the tyres, the suspension, and the balance of this bike as well, which is very neutrally balanced. It allows you to just stick to that line, tip it onto its side. We're not talking anything too aggressive, as I say, because we were a little bit limited with temperatures, but still, I was getting far more lean out of this than I actually expected to today, which is really satisfying, and that's got quite a lot to do with the easy nature of the bike. Now, I've said easy quite a lot when I've been talking about this, but you know, this is game on for track day fodder. It's got the sort of power, the sort of handling that you take it to a circuit like Cadwell and you're going to have an absolute scream on a bike like this. It's huge amounts of fun to ride. It's very precise. I'm going to use the word confident again because that is what it builds. It allows you to explore the handling more, and it's just hugely enjoyable to ride. Now, the real big news, something that I haven't spoke about yet, is the braking system on this bike. Now, this now has, like the suspension, brakes by WP. You've got WP calipers. In fact, from the lever to the caliper and the rear brake master cylinder to the rear caliper, it's all WP. It works really well as a unit. Do the brakes work better than the old version? Braking can be quite subjective because of your ABS systems and everything else, but I found it very, very progressive, not too much in the way of initial bite, so you don't feel like you're over braked. I mean, it's twin caliper, twin disc setup, radial brakes, but still off the first movement of the lever, you're able to dial every degree of braking in. And again, this comes back to the confidence. The levers of the brakes are fully adjustable as well. They've got a really nice clicker on the front there that just allows you to fine-tune the span both on the brakes and on the clutch. Just something that I would mention there. Now, I've said the big news story was in terms of the WP brakes, but I know that there's some other things that we need to talk about in the news regarding KTM as well. Manufacturer of this bike is in China with CF Moto, and there's nothing wrong with that at all because they're turning out some fantastic bikes too. And the quality of the products that are coming out of CF Moto in China are really impressive. And if this bike's anything to go by, then long live that connection between KTM and CF Moto, because it's really, really working well. The braking system, the WP equipment, is built in India. It's not built under license anywhere. It's built in a brand new, purpose-built factory and facility that gives WP the complete quality control over the whole manufacturing process. So the braking system made in India entirely by WP in their own facility. And let's talk about some of the other new bits that it's got. The dash is all new. Really, really nice TFT anti-glare dash on this that just displays everything in that. It's got the KTM character. We've come to expect this in KTM dashes now that they do. They're very easy to read. Everything there is there that you need to know, and it's customizable. Very easy to navigate. The switch gear is really nice on this bike too as well. It's got really big chunky buttons that allow you to get through all those menus, to make changes to everything from quick shifter to your traction control, engine braking, all those parameters that we've come to expect from KTM through the tech pack. I know there will be questions, so I'm going to preempt this one regarding reliability. As you know, on this engine there were cam issues. Of course, KTM have got those all solved now by modifying the cam fingers. The followers was where the problem was. It's got a 4-year warranty, so this bike's completely covered. And just while I'm on that, it's probably worth mentioning that that they actually roll that guarantee back 10 years to any bikes that are affected. Probably worth saying, if we look at some of the competitors that this bike's going to be running up against. Now, short of doing a group test with these bikes side by side, you know, it's difficult to really draw any conclusion, but it's in there with the Honda Hornet, the Suzuki GSX-8S, the Yamaha, but possibly its biggest competitor is going to be the CF Moto 800 NK. Yeah, it runs a similar engine. Yes, it doesn't have the electronics that KTM has. I could go in deep into everything, but let's just say that we know it's got an IMU, so it's got lean sensitive traction control, ABS. It's got a whole host of electronics that you can get in and fine tune if you've got the tech pack that basically opens up everything that's available to you on this bike. Sure, the CF Moto doesn't have that, and it has KYB as suspension, but it's still, you know, it's still adjustable, and there's a £2,000 price difference there. So it's going to be really interesting when we actually get these bikes side by side to see how they compare. So when can you actually get your hands on one of these new 790 Dukes? Well, as I said, it's a 2027 model, but KTM say that it's going to be in showrooms from the end of July. So we are going to be seeing this on UK roads pretty soon, and that means we can get down to it and do some proper group tests with this bike and its rivals. So if I'm just going to sum up the new 790 Duke in a few words, it's got plush suspension, it's well balanced, it's confident, it's easy to get on with. It's a bike you can grow with, as well as a bike that you can drop in and just really enjoy because of that manageability, the size of it. It's got very broad appeal. Are there any negatives though? Very few actually. I mean, I'm going to have to be quite picky if I'm going to talk about negatives. Can we talk about the stickers that aren't lacquered over? Oh, it's one of those things where I've said how good it is to look down at that wide tank, how it's got that big bike feel, and then I can't help but notice that there's a sticker on there that hasn't got lacquer on it. I know it's a small point, but worth mentioning all the same. And the tank as well, beautifully sculpted though the tank it is, they've actually taken away half a litre of your fuel capacity. Now, that may not mean anything on a track day or if you're out on a blast on your favourite roads, but hey, we've got to have some negatives in there somewhere. So fuel tank slightly smaller, and I would say the quick shifter isn't the smoothest. The quick shifter is an option on this bike. I know KTM do like to hold a few things in reserve, but given that some of the competition, you get a quick shifter as standard, I think it would be nice to see a quick shifter as standard equipment on this bike. So in a nutshell, that is the KTM 790 Duke for 2027. If you've liked this video, if you've got something to say, do leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Look out for a full review on this bike, both in MCN on the newsstand and on Motorcyclenews.com. And stay tuned to MCN for all the latest news, reviews, and everything motorcycling. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.